generally speaking, a student's ability, academic ability is quite superior.
Yeah, that's not good. Your family is also in Hong Kong?
Yeah, my family's very Hong Kong. As a matter of fact, my father was born here in Hong Kong. So my grandfather, he came in the early 1900s. So we've been living here, like I'm like the third generation.
Okay. Which part of Pakistan?
Lahore.
Oh,
Do you know where?
I know. Lahore.
How do you know? Because like for my students, when I ask them, like I teach form 4, form 5, and form 6.
Because they don't have
Any idea where it's Lahore? They don't even know it's Pakistan.
they confuse Pakistan and India, right?
India, yes.
Yeah, when they look at you, they think you are India. Actually, they generalize people with brown color all from India.
India, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So where's India? It's in Middle East. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what they will say.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's just like us, when you see us like yellow color, you think that we are either Korean or Japanese, but you don't know how to differentiate, right?
Right.
The same. And the uncle, just he is from Karachi.
Karachi. Oh, I didn't know. I think he's Pakistani.
Yeah.
But we speak the same language. Because an Indian can also speak the same language as well.
Yeah, same, but a little bit different.
A little bit
Slightly.
different. Like some of them speak Punjabi. A few people may speak Tamil. Like Tamil is also. Urdu, you can see the accent varies between different ethnicities.
So you also Punjabi because you're
I think I am, yeah. Lahore, Punjabi.
so you have been to Pakistan.
I have been to Pakistan. So a lot of people have this, it's fine, but some people fear going to Pakistan given what the media depicts, which is...
Well, it is true because like Karachi is really dangerous because I have friends working in Karachi. Yes, Pakistan. He told me that it's because so messy in this area. No one wants to work in Karachi if they don't pay a lot. What is my parallel of this? Because every time when I sat there,
go through then more easy to understand. साफ करना है इसको तो साफ भी हो जाएगा पूरा। In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, peace and blessing to our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companion, his family members. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. On behalf of the Dawah Committee of the Kowloon Masjid, I welcome you all to this 8th session of the current season. As usual, we start with the recitation from the Holy Quran, and I call this young man to come here and recite.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين صدق الله العظيم.
These all children you are watching, right? Every Saturday, every time you. So they are studying in this mosque madrasa. I translate into English. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, by the faith and the olive, by Mount Sinai, and by this land made safe. Surely we created man of the best station. Then we reduced him to the lowest of the low. Save those who believe and do good works, and theirs is a reward unfailing. So who henceforth will give the lie to thee about the judgment? Is not Allah the most conclusive of all judgment? So we shall now proceed to the presentation. Raza Razi, this gentleman, young man, born in Hong Kong, raised in Hong Kong, studied in Hong Kong. He attended Hong Kong University first 3 years, and then to see his work, the university has awarded a scholarship 1 year. Then he went to University of Columbia in Canada. Here he completed his degree this year in 2013. He studied in social studies. So currently working as a full-time teacher at Bayan College, Kowloon. So without wasting time, I now request Raza to present the presentation.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I'm really happy to have all of you here. You have actually graced me by coming here. I was a bit nervous to see how many people would be attending this. So I'm really happy by the number of people. So may Allah reward you for coming. Alhamdulillah. Islamic law is the topic that I will be presenting today, and let me begin by being frank. I'm no Islamic scholar, legal scholar, or jurist, or anything like that, but I do have some knowledge regarding Islamic law that I would like to share. So at times, if anyone who has more knowledge than I do, feel free to contribute to the discussion. And I like to make things informal, where you can ask me questions during the presentation, because I'm so used to the regular teaching that after I say maybe 3 sentences, the students are like, Mr. Razi, I have a question. What if, they will start to do that. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me at any time. All right? So Islamic law, Shariáh. Today's learning objectives, I hope by the end of today's 1 hour and a half, 90 minutes, I hope to achieve these 3, 1 hour and 15 minutes. I hope to achieve the following objectives. The first one is to identify the main sources of Shariáh. Now there are 4 main sources of Shariáh that I hope to achieve, that we all hope to learn today and be able to identify the elements with regards to that. Second learning objective I hope to that I hope we will be able to achieve is to be able to compare and contrast the Shariáh with secular laws, in other words, man-made laws. And the third is to appreciate the essence and beauty of some Islamic laws which are depicted, which are argued by some Orientalists or the media. Usually the Western media is barbaric, it's uncivilized. So we're going to go through that, and so these are the main objectives. agenda, the rundown, we're going to begin by asking a question. What is a law? And then we'll go through the meaning, the purposes, the sources, and rulings with regards to Shariah. And I'm going to show you some videos which are actually of good morals among Muslims in non-Muslim countries, which the teachings are based from the Shariah, or from the Shariah. And fourth, I'm going to introduce some man-made laws to you, and you can ask me at any time about the man-made laws, ask me why, anything like that. You can ask me why were they implemented and stuff like that, so feel free to join in the discussion. The fifth one will make a comparison as previously mentioned, and we'll follow that by criticisms of some Orientalists and responses of certain Islamic laws which are observed to be controversial or against human rights. Seventh Q&A, but actually we can have Q&A throughout the agenda. I'm going to begin by asking the first thing. What is a law? I like to make the sound effect. What is a law? Dun, 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 dun. What is a law? Good. Some rules, some regulations that people have to obey. Anything else? So obey, I like that. Obey. Anything else? Anything that comes into your mind. The first thing that pops into your mind when you hear the word law. Well, to me, I'll tell you mine. When I hear the word law, I immediately think of lawyers. Because often in the media they're depicted as liars. Right? So, they have to fight for a case and they will implement lies and stuff like that. So that's the first thing that comes into my mind. Anyone else? Perhaps the young sister at the very end.
Actually, my ideas are already there.
All of the ideas are already there? Oh, okay, you have to be quicker next time. Okay. So everything's here. Rules, regulations, obey lawyers. Do you have anything in your mind perhaps? Same? Okay.
Justice, maybe.
Justice. Oh, this is a very good one. Justice. Can I ask you what do you mean by justice? Can you elaborate more? That's no worry, don't worry. There's no right or wrong answer. What do you mean by justice?
Can it be like fair trial?
Fair trial, yeah.
Equality before law?
Okay. Equality before the law. Okay. So yeah, according to Oxford Dictionary, it's the system of rules which a particular country or community recognizes as regulating the actions of its members and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties. So the focus is on regulation, So it's a good thing that you have mentioned this, because this is directly related to what we'll be going through now. So Shariah. The word Shariah has been mentioned in the Quran several times. I'm going to show you 3 verses in which you'll see here Shariáh, which means ordained, which means enforced upon. So Shariáh is the root word of Shariah, which means ordained. And here, if you read the verse, O Muhammad, He has ordained for you a religion, He meaning God. God has ordained for you a religion, what God enjoined upon Prophet Noah, and that which we have revealed to you, and what we enjoined upon Ibrahim, and Musa, and Isa, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, to establish the religion and not to be divided therein. So the word Shariáh is is the root word of the word Shariáh. Second verse, which also mentions, which is another variation of Shariáh, is Shariáh, as you can see over here. Shariáh, which means law. Which means law. To each of you, Muslims and people of the book, we prescribed a law and a method of following it. Had Allah willed, He would have made you one religious nation. But He has willed to test you in what He has given you. Alright? So race to good. The third verse in the Quran has the full form Shariáh, which is defined in the Quran as the path. The path. Then we put you, O Muhammad, on a path of the matter. Follow it and do not follow the desires of those who do not know. So, Shariáh. So as we have seen from the previous verses, could you recall which three words were shown previously? Okay, the first one was Shariáh, which means ordained. So the technical meaning of Shariáh has the word ordained here. I'm just going to show you the connection. The second verse over here utilizes the word law, Shariáh, yeah, which is also the technical meaning. And the literal meaning, Shariáh, this one, means path. So, if you were to go with the literal definition, the literal meaning of Shariáh, it means a way that leads to a main water source, a straight path to be followed. So just like this water source here, it's like, it's beautiful, it's, it gives you like, relaxation by just looking at it, or, if you're really there, you would feel it's much more different than what I'm just saying. It's a real thing over there. So it symbolizes peace, like peace, serenity, a way that leads to a main water source, a straight path to be followed. The technical meaning is laws, so the Shariah's technical meaning is laws and orders ordained by God. Alright? Easy, right, so far? Purposes of Shariáh. Why Shariáh? Why do we need Shariáh? The first one is, it establishes a correct way of life. It has guidance across all facets of life, from politics, to economy, to human affairs, to ethics, to social manners. So the Shariáh has this code for human beings to follow. This is the correct code. Okay? The second one, it enjoins the good and forbids the evil. For example, adultery is an evil, and the Shariáh makes it haram, it makes it forbidden. Does anyone know what's adultery?
Yes.
Okay, it basically means that if a married, let's say a married couple, but one of the married couples has extramarital intercourse with another person, so that would be considered as adultery. All right. So the Shariáh forbids that. Okay. The third one, it takes care of the public interest. I will come to this later. The fourth one, it preserves. If you read the books pertaining to law, Islamic law, you'll find that it aims to preserve 5 things: the deen, the religion, the life, the dignity, the intellectuality, and property. Okay? I will come to this again when I show you the rulings of Shariáh, the sources of Shariáh. I'll show this slide again to you so that you can make that strong connection between these purposes. Alright? Sources of al-Shariáh. Islamic doctrine, law, and thinking are based upon these 4 sources of Shariáh. Okay? Now, in a legal case, a qadi means a judge. He will refer to these four sources of Sharia in the following hierarchy, which means that the Quran is given the top authority. So the Quran is the constitution. Quran is like number one. So anything that the Quran says, it is. That's what it is. The Sunnah is then followed if the Quran is not too specific on an issue. If the Quran and Sunnah at the same time do not have specific information related to the legal case, to the legal issue, which requires a verdict on, ijma', which means consensus of jurists, of legal scholars, will be taken. The fourth one, qiyas, which basically means analogical deduction, will also be made. Do not worry, I'll go through each of them specifically with examples. But anyway, so far, everyone's good with the pace? Am I speaking too fast? No? Okay. Al-Quran. Well, before I show you, does anyone know what's the Quran?
The words of God.
The words of God, the book of God. Very good. How many years of revelation did it take? To 23? To whom? So very good, mashallah. Okay. Indeed, like I said, the Quran is the constitution. The judges, the Islamic scholars, all of them will derive the rulings from the authority of the Quran. So if the Quran says something else, but the judge makes a different ruling, now that doesn't work at all. That's contradictory. So everything has to come from the Quran. So if the Quran says, do not consume riba, do not consume usury, do not take interest on loans, this is a clear indication that you should not do so. Okay? The Quran is mentioned, it's the book of God, it's divine in origin. It addresses to all humanity without distinction of any specific race, religion, culture, or ethnicity. And it seeks to guide human beings in all aspects of life: economics, politics, human manners, customs. These are just some verses that God has made a challenge to others to show that the Quran is free from corruption, is free from interpolation of different people. That this Quran is only from God, and God will preserve it till the end of this world. Alright? So this is why Quran is indeed the final constitution. Now let me just tell you this. During Muhammad's, Prophet Muhammad's sallallahu alaihi wasallam's labeling as a prophet in Mecca, the verses often used to be about oneness of God, about the day of judgment. And after the fundamental base has been covered, and because when the tribes wanted to kill Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions, he emigrated to Medina. The verses in Medina and the verses in Mecca are somewhat different in nature. The verses in Mecca, as I mentioned, were more about believing in one God. Do not worship more than one God, but believe in one God. The verses in Medina, however, were more on economic legislation, political legislation, on ethics, on morals. You see what I'm trying to say? So it's interesting because in Medina the verses about usury were revealed there, politics, customs, family manners, family manners, social manners, human affairs, day-to-day basis, legal issues and stuff like that. They were revealed in Medina, most of it. Okay? Now I'll give you an example of a law which is derived from the Quran. A law which is derived from the Quran. So in chapter 2, verse 275, Allah has allowed the selling and buying of trade. So you can buy, you can sell trade, and has forbidden harama. The word harama is utilized, harama, which basically means haram, usury. Okay, riba. Verse chapter, sorry, I missed. Should have gone below. Chapter 3, verse 130 of the Holy Quran defines usury, riba, as compound interest on a loan. Okay? So basically, interest on a loan is not allowed in Islam. This is it. It says, O you who have believed, do not consume usury, doubled and compounded, and avoid the wrath, the anger of Allah, so you may prosper. Now this is direct, this is specific. Can you consume interest on loan? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. Yes or no? Can you consume interest on loan according to the Quran? No. Alright? So this is a law. There you go. It's illegal, it is forbidden to consume riba. Alright? To take interest on loan. Loan.
Why?
Ask. So what's your question?
Why is it forbidden to do?
Okay, let's say for example, I give you, okay, you're out of money, right? Let's say you're out of money. And I have like $100. Okay, so I'm like, okay, fine. No, let's make $10,000. Okay, so I'll give you $10,000, and I'll be like, okay, after 2 months, you need to pay me 5% more. If you don't pay me within 2 months, I will charge you. Let's say I'm a very strict guy. I'm a very stern guy. 30% or 50% on top of that. So let's say $10,000, and let's say you have a family. You have to take care of your children. You know, they're like, oh, I want to buy that, this and that, and later on, you can't pay me within 2 months. Okay. So I said to you that $10,000 plus 50%. Okay? So if you want to repay me, you wouldn't just repay me the $10,000, but you would, on top of that, you will have to pay me back 50%. Does that become a burden to you?
Yeah.
Okay? But let's say it's not just that. It becomes a burden on you, and you have to work harder day and night. So mentally, psychologically, it affects you, and financially, it affects you as well. And because of this, I actually read an article. Interest, to some extent, leads to inflation in society. I'm not going to go into too much into that because that will be another subject. But interest, to some extent, leads to inflation as well. So it becomes a burden to simply answer you. It becomes a burden on the other person to return the money, and it actually is like stealing. That's why today, had it not been because of interest and for other reasons, we would not have inflation today. I mean, if we used the gold price, it would have been fine, but because of paper money, because of interest as well, the rate of inflation is everly increasing. And actually, 2 days ago, I was pretty disappointed and upset because I read an article on South China Morning Post that the rise in the wages in Hong Kong next year will be the lowest compared to different countries such as UK, US, even Singapore, which is a city state. So I was like, oh. You see what I'm trying to say?
But then
Yes.
if you don't, you can just not refuse to give him a loan because I don't have any benefit out of it. The person who has the money, what's the point of giving another person a loan if I'm not going to earn anything or have any benefit to myself?
Just to have.
But some people, like, because of a dire need, some of them really need have a need. Like for example, okay.
I mean, I'm giving it as a rhetorical question. The world now is governed by people who have money, people who don't have money. You give this money to another person for self-interest. Very few people are compassionate, right? I mean, in the money sense. Yeah, I could just use it for business,
Right.
right?
Good.
So why?
You're kidding.